Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with a new what if, and this what if is what if Naruto was evil. This will serve as a sort of remaster to what if Naruto gave into hatred. I never really liked that series, so I'm here to give it some justice. Now, with all that said, let's get right into the what if.
Talk to me next. Look.
So we start the story off with the birth of Naruto and the whole battle with the Nine Tails and the Masked Man. That all goes the same, and Minato uses the Reaper Death Seal to seal the Nine Tails within his own son, Naruto. And so as Kushina is dying, she does the same thing as in canon. She starts wishing the best for her son, saying he should eat his vegetables, go to bed early. And after a while, she succumbs to the Nine Tails being extracted from her and dies. And Hiruzen and the Anbu run in and sees Naruto with this seal on his stomach, and Hiruzen immediately knows what this is, what Minato has done. So for the first 4 years of Naruto's life, Hiruzen raised him in his own house as his own son actually. Hiruzen was really kind to Naruto, but after the birth of Konohamaru, Hiruzen basically kicked Naruto out. He gave a 4-year-old his own apartment to fend for himself, and this was the first stage of Naruto's spiral into villainy. So Naruto would spend most of his days inside since he had no friends, and the only person he would see for months would just be Hiruzen when he occasionally comes over to give him some money to live off of. But through all of this, Naruto was never mad at Hiruzen. He was happy because he would always see his granddad, or who he sees as his granddad, every month or so. So it's around Christmas time and Naruto is still 4 years old, and he decided to, get out once in a while. This is his first time, well, not his first time seeing snow, but his first time being alone and just seeing the snow for all its beauty. Because the years before, Naruto was mainly just locked in Hiruzen's house. So he goes outside and the villagers, they don't like Naruto. They start not running at Naruto, but talking bad about Naruto, whispering, and Naruto felt really uncomfortable. So he decided to enjoy his time outside of the village. He went to one of the forests on the outskirts of the village, and he's just walking through having his good old time. When Naruto, he starts hearing these voices, he can't really make out any words, but there sounds like a lot of people. So he goes towards them, and when he gets closer, he peeks through these bushes and he sees 3 guys picking on this one girl with bluish black hair. And Naruto, he can't stand for this. This girl, he's seen her on different occasions, so he runs up trying to, do something about it. Naruto, he runs up to these bullies and said, "Hey, stop that." And Naruto has this weak stance, and the boys turn around, and the sort of leader of these 3, he turns to Naruto and says, and what are you gonna do?" And Naruto puts up his fist and he's like, "Well, I'll hurt you." And these kids start laughing at Naruto and say, "Just stay there and let us finish this up." So they turn back to Hinata and start punching her and calling her names. But Naruto, he said, "I said stop," and he runs up to the largest guy there and he punches him on the shoulder, but it did absolutely nothing. The guy turns around and grabs Naruto's wrist and said, "I told you to wait." And he throws Naruto to the side, and his 2 friends run and pin Naruto to the ground and start getting a few hits in themselves. And then the guy hops on Naruto and starts punching him over and over in the face. And Hinata, who is slowly starting to get up, sees this happening and she can't do anything. So Naruto, he's getting almost knocked out at this point, and that's when Hinata's guard finally finds her, and he sees these 3 boys and runs them away like some dogs or something. And he goes up to Hinata and asks her, "Lady Hinata, are you okay?" And she nods and gives a quiet And she says, "Can we help Naruto?" And the guy, he turns and sees Naruto and says, "Oh, no, we don't talk to that demon." And Hinata is wondering, "What do you mean by that?" And he says, "Let's just get back to the compound." So he grabs Hinata's hand and he's grabbing her hard, and he's squeezing down on her hand. And she's a child, so this is really painful, and drags her all the way back to the Hyuga compound. Meanwhile, Naruto, he's just laying on the ground. He can't move. He's just out there in pain. And a whole day goes by. So Naruto was out there in the almost freezing cold for a whole day. Well, for the whole night. And then when day finally comes around, Naruto, he can finally get some feeling in his body and slowly gets up and makes his way back home. After that incident, Naruto, he was sad, but he wasn't gonna let that get him down. If he's got beat up that easily, then that just means he needs to learn how to fight. So that's what Naruto does. And for the next week or so, he begins sneaking into the library to steal scrolls on the history of the village, all the clans in the village, and different taijutsu techniques. So for 4 years, Naruto dedicates his time to learning all of this. And this is around time for the start of the academy. So Naruto, he's pretty smart for a kid his age and has some techniques to his name. He isn't like Lee level, but you know, Naruto, he's gonna get stronger over time. So, to the start of the academy, and Naruto, he walks into class, and some people, they're looking at him kind of confused because over these years, Naruto has remained almost entirely in his house, only going out to buy food and things like that. And also I should mention, Naruto has gotten a lot more mature. It's not even funny. He's like a fully functioning adult at this point. That's how quickly Naruto had to grow and mature just because of the circumstances he was put in. So Naruto, like people in Naruto's class, they're looking at him kind of like, who is this kid? Because they barely ever saw Naruto. They don't even know him. But Naruto, he goes to the back of the class and sits next to a window like the usual anime protagonists. So he waits for the teacher to come into class, and soon enough Iruka does, and he does the usual introduction, you know, telling them how he wished they're gonna have a good year together. So after all of that, they do a little lesson. Everyone gets a quick evaluation, nothing physical. They just did a short test to test the person's intellect to see where they stand in the class. And after this test, Naruto actually ranks first in the class, with people like Sakura, Sasuke, Ino following closely behind. And Shikamaru, I mean, he would have beat Naruto if he actually applied himself, but we all know for Shikamaru, it's too much of a drag. So after that, people are actually surprised by this kid's performance. So some people in the class realize Naruto would probably be a good friend, so they start talking to Naruto. These people being Shikamaru, Choji, even Ino and Hinata. And Hinata was the most surprising because she wasn't very talkative, but just being around Naruto made her talkative. So after this, it's around lunchtime, and Naruto, he's sitting having his lunch by himself when Kiba comes up to Naruto, and he goes in front of his desk and start bad-mouthing Naruto, saying he doesn't belong here and he should learn who the alpha in this class really is. And Naruto is just confused what Kiba is talking about, and Naruto's dumb act doesn't sit right with Kiba, and he slams his hands onto his desk and says, "Don't play dumb with me. You think you're all that? Well, demons like you deserve death," and walked off. Naruto was confused what Kiba was talking about, but in these version of events, Kiba's mom actually died in the Nine Tails attack, so that's why he held a huge grudge against him. So after that conversation, Kiba, he would go to the different people eating in class and start telling them things about Naruto, saying how he's a demon and he shouldn't be trusted and how he can kill them at any time. Basically, because most of the people in the class, they don't know that Naruto is a demon, they just know that their parents don't want them to be around Naruto. So Kiba is telling them all of these scary things, saying how Naruto is a demon and he can lose control at any time. So if they get close to him, they'll probably be the first ones dead. So this was really convincing to a lot of people in class, and the newfound popularity that Naruto had only lasted an hour or two. And after the break, like after class was in session, nobody wanted to sit next to Naruto. Before, he had 3 people like squeezing into the decks next to him just to talk to him, and now he's just all on his own. But of course, Naruto, he's dealt with way worse than this, so he's just gonna keep chugging along, getting through the school. So for Naruto's first day at school, it went okay, but a lot would change on the second day. And when Naruto went into class, he saw everyone was out of their seats and like they were in a straight line. And Iruka instructed Naruto to join the line because they were going outside to have a quick assessment of what everyone's capable of. They go outside and do a simple circuit, jogging, and then have a little obstacles where they just have to jump from pole to pole. And when they're finished, they'll do accuracy training and then some sparring. Some light sparring, you know, they don't want to do anything too crazy because, I mean, they're still kids, of course. So everyone, they line up and they're not put into pairs just yet. So Iruka has them go through the obstacles and Naruto, he's doing actually really well. But Kiba, who is behind Naruto, and Sasuke, who's in on what Kiba is going to do, they're both traveling really closely behind Naruto. And as he's jumping from one of the poles, Kiba, he jumps to that same pole and accidentally pushes Naruto into the mud under it. The mud was just there to, you know, entice people not to fall, to try your best not to fall. And Naruto is completely dirtied up from head to toe, so he gets up and he's mad, but he's trying to contain his anger. So Naruto just goes back from the beginning and does it all over and makes it to the accuracy training portion. And this portion, Naruto, he wasn't amazing at it, he just did decent. He went up and Iruka handed him 3 kunais and 3 shuriken. Naruto threw them at the targets, but only got 4 out of 6, which is around the average score. And then it came to the 1v1s. Sasuke was paired with Naruto and they both walked into the ring. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a disgusted look on his face, but Naruto paid him no mind and he just waited for Iruka to start counting down. And while Iruka was waiting, Kiba, he was standing closer to the ring than anyone else was. I mean, other than Iruka, who was basically on the line. But Kiba, he had Akamaru and he had a plan to, you know, mess with Naruto in this fight. So as Iruka started the match, Sasuke took the first move and ran at Naruto, and Naruto was surprised by how quickly he was running at him. But when he got close enough for taijutsu range, Naruto was actually dominating Sasuke in taijutsu. He was blocking all of his punches and throwing some punches of his own right into Sasuke's face. And Sasuke, who wasn't about to look like embarrassed in front of all the students in the academy, he jumped back and then weaved hand signs and says, "Let's see what your punches can do against this." And he said fire style, fireball jutsu, and shot out a massive ball of flames and it shot towards Naruto. And Naruto, he was too slow to react and it hit him head on in the chest, knocking Naruto almost out of the ring. But he was okay, well, okay in the sense that he didn't get knocked out. But Naruto, his entire chest and stomach area, that was scorched fully. And his arms and legs as well, but Naruto, he could still continue. But Iruka, I mean, he paused the match and asked Naruto, like, if he was good. And Naruto, with determination in his voice, said, "Yeah, I'll beat him." And Iruka, he was like, okay, and he started up back the match. And while Naruto, he was taking a bit of a breather in the corner, Kiba sent out Akamaru, who was really small, so no one really realized that Akamaru was in the arena. And he ran over to Naruto and bit onto his ankle, and Naruto, like, he screamed in pain. And Sasuke, using this diversion, he ran up and punched Naruto square in the nose. And this launched him back. His head is literally on the line of the border of their little fighting area. And Naruto, he was like, "I've had it with you damn cheaters. I'll show you what I can do." And Naruto, it was like he wasn't even there anymore because his whisker marks started becoming more pronounced and more wild, and his claws began growing longer and sharper. So this wasn't Naruto. He was being influenced by the Nine Tails. You can tell because, I mean, he started showing fox-like features. Even his eyes turned red. And Sasuke, seeing this, his first thought was, the Sharingan? But then he looked closer and saw no Tomoe, and he realized that it couldn't be it. But Naruto, he got up so quickly, almost no one could perceive him moving, and he got behind Sasuke and kicked him in the back, but grabbed his shirt so it didn't go out of the ring, and flung him back in and slammed him into the ground. Everyone was looking in horror of what Naruto just did, but Naruto didn't stop there. He pounced on Sasuke and started beating him across the face. He mounted on his chest and started punching him over and over and over in the face until he was bloody and he was all swollen. And Iruka, he ran in to grab Naruto off of him, but Naruto, he was mad. Like, he wasn't gonna start getting people like walking all over him, so he punched Iruka too. And then the cloak of the Nine Tails began forming around Naruto to, form the One Tails cloak. And this made Naruto exponentially stronger. What everyone thought was fast before, Naruto was just getting started. He blitzed behind Iruka and used his nails and stabbed through his back. And Iruka, he was on the ground and said, "Naruto, why?" But Naruto, he wasn't there anymore. And Naruto, he turned his gaze to the rest of the academy students, and he had no mercy in taking them all out. So Naruto, he started with Kiba, and he blitzed Kiba, doing similar to what he did with Iruka, and stabbed him through the chest with his nails. But not only that, Naruto started pulling his hands apart, literally ripping Kiba in half, but of course he wasn't strong enough for that, so he dropped Kiba on the ground with a massive hole in his body. So Naruto, he would go on to either kill or severely injure many of the people in his class, and the notable students to survive were Sasuke, Ino, and Shikamaru. But before Naruto could finish the job, Hiruzen appeared with his fleet of Anbu. Not fleet, it's like 4 of them. But the villagers who were passing by, because this isn't a closed off area, it's just fences so anyone can see in. And they saw this brutal murder, so they made sure to inform Hiruzen as soon as possible. And he's the one to arrive, and he's going to stop Naruto, or at least die trying. This fight was legendary. Naruto managed to kill Hiruzen. I'm just capping. If you think One Tails cloak Naruto, Kid Naruto at that fact is beating Hiruzen, no. Yeah, Hiruzen defeated Naruto with literal ease. He didn't have to try. Hiruzen used Earth style, Earth flowing river, trapping Naruto, then used a great fireball. When Hiruzen could see the aftermath of the attack, he didn't see Naruto anymore. So we cut to him running through the forest out of the village, and he said to himself, "This kid's body was easier than expected to take over. I guess I should thank you, Minato. If I had stabbed you just a second later, you would have had enough strength to seal me away for 4 more years. But now that I'm out, it's time to take my revenge." Due to the Nine Tails influence, Naruto's body went through a drastic change. Now, instead of the usual, change you would see when Naruto was influenced by the Kyuubi in part 1 of Naruto, not only was now his complete demeanor changed, the way he walks, the way he talks, just the way he acts. Apart from all of that, Naruto, his physical appearance was different. Naruto, his hair was starting to have a red tint to it because of this influence. And Naruto's younger body was getting a bit more built, like a slight bit taller and more muscular. So for the next 5 years, Naruto had been living out in the forest, being fully controlled by the Nine Tails. Meanwhile, back in the village, people were gathering in crowds outside the Hokage mansion, calling for the capture and execution of Naruto. Hiruzen was being pressured from all sides, like the elders, the clan heads, the villagers, everyone in his life are calling for him to do something about Naruto. So Hiruzen, he came up with a plan for it. He had made a special group of Anbu members for this one mission, and they aren't allowed back in the village without Naruto. So they've been on this mission for 5 years, and their only hope of returning back to their families is finding Naruto. So while he was doing nothing, Naruto came up with, well, I'm saying Naruto, but it's, Naruto's body with the conscience of the Nine Tails. So during his time in the forest, Naruto had come up with the perfect plan to get back at the Lee for all that they've done to him, and it to all be possible as soon as he can completely remove the seal, and also get rid of Naruto's conscience in the process. Because while he's sleeping, he can feel Naruto trying to get back into control, and it takes a lot of focus for that not to happen. So sometimes he goes through sleepless nights. And Kurama doesn't know who has the key for the seal, because if it were to even be loosened to the point where it's technically open, that still won't be good enough for him to be able to, completely get rid of Naruto. And the only person he knows of that could help him in any way is Orochimaru, and finding Orochimaru isn't an easy task. So, Naruto emerged from the cave that he's been in for the past 5 years and started walking aimlessly in hopes of finding any leads on Orochimaru's whereabouts. And that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. And if you liked it, like. And if you like my content in general, consider subscribing. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.